Hi, it's Daps here. Welcome to another Figma to Elementor tutorial. In this step-by-step tutorial, I want to show you how you can bring in your Envato kit into your Figma and then from there to Elementor. So the truth is that most times we all want to have that one-click conversion from Figma to Elementor. I also want to have it, but sometimes it doesn't really work that way. And I have also been sharing recently a series of tutorials around using UiChemy, which seems to be the best solution to converting your Figma designs into Elementor. And I want to walk you through step by step how to get that done in this tutorial. So this is not a tutorial that you want to skip in between, except UI Figma Pro already, but I want you to save this video somewhere so that you can always make reference to it, because you need to follow the steps. Here's just a simple truth. It gets a lot complex sometimes depending on the template you're using and how that designer have designed that template. Because Figma is a place for designing, people just design template without having a website or an Elementor website in mind. And that's the reason why ultimately I would always recommend people to look into using Sprout UI, which is a fantastic free tool for you to design inside of Figma, because you already have a design inside of Figma that is optimized for Elementor already. You will do little or nothing for you to optimize those templates, and I will leave the link to that in the video description. And also in this tutorial, I may not have the time to walk you through how to get UiChemy and some of the tools I'm using, but once I'm talking about them, I will leave all of those things in the video description so you can check them out. I'll also do well to leave timestamps in the video description. You can check that so that you can navigate across the video easily. So I think without further ado, I should just take you to my screen here where we can continue with Envato. So right on my screen here is Envato element. You can come here and search for any template you like, but just make sure that you have a template that has a fig file like this, FIG. In some cases, you have template that have different file type, but just make sure that whatever file type you are using has fig, because fig is one that will work with Figma. And then you can come down here and download this. So I've been able to download this right now. So I have a zip file. I've been able to extract it, and then I have this folder here. So if I open it, I would be able to see this fig file here. So this fig file is what you want to drag into your Figma. It's as simple as just dragging it into your Figma dashboard. So right now, if you come to my Figma dashboard here, I've been able to drag it here. So that's why I have it here. So just drag and drop or copy and paste, whatever it is that work for you. So once you have this here, you just need to open up this Figma file, and then you should have an interface like this. So this is what you see. So from here, we can see our global colors, and then we can see our global typography, and that's fine. So let's just come to the pages here. Let's come to the home and inner pages. So you can see all of the pages that are there, and they're quite amazing. So you can zoom into them and start using them. But again, because this particular template is designed with instances, I'll just want to show you how that works. So right now, let me just create a new page, and let's just create, and I think we should just call this new design. So here I'll just want to create a new frame, right? Let's just call this our frame. I think text is good for this tutorial, so that's fine. And then let's come to our asset. We want to see every of the asset that we have. Fantastic. So you can see from here that we have assets from about us to footer to header to pricing plan to, so now you can begin to create your own design as different from what you have as a template. And I think that's quite amazing, right? So right now, let's just first start with the header first. Let's click on the header, and you can see this is an instance. So let's insert this instance right here. So we can zoom that out for us to see exactly what we have. So right now we can just drag that here. So this is the frame we created earlier. So what we want to do is let's see the size, the width of this frame is 1920. So let's make this to 1920. Right. What we should do first here is for us to make this frame here auto layout. So that's fantastic. We want to set it to vertical layout, and then let's just take this to the center top here, and I think that's good. I don't know why this is set to org. That's crazy. Let's return this back to fixed, and then let's make this 1920. So what we want to do right now is I want to make this our mainframe, and then every of the instances here we want to drop them into our mainframe, and that's super easy. So I'm going to just cut and paste this. So I can just Control X this frame here, and then I click on my mainframe, and then I Control V, I paste that in, and so you can see that has been set here, and I think that's fantastic. Yeah. So right now this is either here we can add something entirely new again. Let's say we want to add an about us, something like this. So let's click on this, let's insert this instance, and then we can also just Control X this, and then paste that here, Control V. So you can see that's super easy to do, right? And let's just say we want to add our services again. Let's insert this. We can just Control X this, and then I would paste that here, Control V. All right. And then finally, let's just add one more thing. I don't want to make this long. Let's do footer. That will be needful. Okay, so let's just do Control X, and then I will just paste that into my mainframe, and that's it. We now have a page here, and I think this is super cool. I might just change this from test. Let's make this maybe home page, something like that. So yeah, and I think this is good. And one of the things you have to note again when you are bringing your designs from Envato Element is that they always come with placeholder images like this. You'd have to add your images. So I can just use random images. So for this right now, I can just click into this, and then you can see that this is field. I can just click this here, and then I can switch this to an image. In your case, you might want to use maybe a video or whatever it is that works for you, or maybe even colors. That's fine. So right there, I'll just have to choose an image from my computer. So I have images here. I can just use any random image. Maybe this one is fine, and then I'll choose this. Also for this one too as well, I can do the same thing. Let's just add a random image. Can choose this image here, and I think that's beautiful. Also here we can see that for our recent blog post here, we are supposed to possibly add some images here too as well. So I can just click into this, and then I can select these two as well, and then maybe just add an image here too. I can just select this image here and then paste this. I can use the same image for this two as well. This is just for tutorial purpose. And I think this is super amazing. So right now we can come back here. We're supposed to have an image here. So let's check this out. So for our image here, we can just maybe select an image. So for example, we can just come to image here, and then let's come to image, and then let's choose an image, and any random image here will be fine. I can just select this, and then you can see we have an image there. And I think this is super easy. But again, before we do that, we need to do some optimization to them here. There are quite a number of optimization I'm already seeing that we might need to do here before we are able to export these into Elementor. But basically, to start first, we want to come to all the instances inside this home page frame here. We want to make sure that we detach this instance, because we will not be able to do anything to those instances if we don't detach them. So right now I can just easily right click this, and I can just come to detach instance, or you can just do Control Alt B, whatever works for you is fine. So that's the first thing we want to do. Right now I'm seeing a lot of vectors used to design stuff here. So we want to look into those vectors. We need to optimize them before we use the UiChemy plugin to optimize this page fully and then have it as an Elementor page. But right now let's just look into the logo first. Let's start with the logo. Here maybe I should zoom into this a little. So for our logo here, we can see that we have quite a number of vectors here in these groups here that was put together to create that logo. So what we want to do right now is that we want to take out all of these groups here, and then we want to turn all these vectors into just a singular vector. So let's just copy all these vectors. Good. So right now I will just right click on this, and then what I want to do is that I want to flatten this. So if I do that, you see that all of those groups are out, and then we have one singular vector. Another thing I can still do here to take out these groups that are here is for me to just drag this out and put it directly under the logo. So you can see that under the logo now, I now have a vector and then a text. So that's it for that. So let's check the next vector here. Let's come to our menu. So for this vector here, we can see that we have two of them here making this. So we're going to copy these two, but we can see also here that this has a stroke, but we want to convert this to fill. So for us to be able to do that, we just want to right click on these two here, and then we want to outline stroke. So we can see that from stroke right now, we have this as fill. And once we do that, we can right click again, and then we can flatten this. So you can see that we now have this now as a singular vector instead of two. So what we can do right now is for us to replace the remaining vectors here with this. So I can just easily just copy this. So I can open this one up. I'll copy this here, and then I'll right click this. I will paste and replace. So the same thing for this. I would copy these two here and then paste and replace. All right, that's fantastic. So I think this is done here. So let's just check this. So for the text here, you can see that whoever designed this didn't do a good job. We can see this text here. Every of the words there are in a singular text, and that's not really very good. So what we're going to do right now is that we're going to duplicate this, and then I'm just going to drag this out. All right, so what I can do here is possibly just create a frame, and then I would have this here so that we can see this very well. I can drag this frame down or up, so I can duplicate this. Okay, so we now have 5 different ones here. So if we come back here, so we can just come down here and just delete all of this, and then we have this one here as home, and I think this is good. So the next thing on the menu here is pages, so we can delete this, and then we can delete this too as well. So the next thing here is services, so we can delete this and also delete this. So good. So we're going to bring in our text here, but if we come into this one here, so we want to make sure that we have this vector and this home here grouped. So we're just going to Control G that. So we have group one. That's good. We just want to take out this icon here. So let's just drag this out. So that icon is gone. So for our text here, we need to select all of this. So from this here, we want to come down here to the width here. We want to set it to auto height, and then this also to auto. So this is good. And then once this is done here, we want to just copy this, and then we can come back to this here and then paste that here. So you can see we now have pages and vector here, so I can just easily just drag this somewhere before. So we have to manually space this out. This is very, very important. Okay, so right now we can group this. So you can take your time to make sure that you have enough spaces in between. So I can just group this, Ctrl G, and then I can just easily just drag this out. So you can see that that's settled for this. The next thing here is services. So I can just cut this right now, and then I can come here and I can paste that here, and I can drag this out so as well. More like this. So I now have this service and this vector here. I can group them. I can take out the icon by just dragging that out. So that's it. But you can see the space here is not even. On your case, you want to make sure that you have all of those things even. All right, I think this is good. So now let's come back here. So this frame we don't need again. We can delete this. So the next thing here is icon here. Okay, so you can see as usual we have two vectors here, and you can see this is stroke. So as usual, we are just going to outline this stroke, and then I'm just going to flatten this. All right, so that's good. So as usual, we don't need this icon again. So let's just drag this out. Good. So now we have a button here as a login text and also a vector. And I think that's beautiful. So I think there's no vector here for this button. And I think this is good. So we can come down here. So the next thing is this one here. Let's check these two as well. So we can see from here, we have an icon here and also SVGs. So from here, we can just take out this hidden color. And then from here, we can see is a stroke. We can just outline this. And then we can match these two and just flatten it. I think that's beautiful. So right now we can scroll down and let's check everything we have. So from here, we have a singular vector. Okay. These two as well. There's also a singular vector. Okay, for this. Okay, so all of this will be the same. Okay, this is good. Because I am thinking of making this a button, we might not be able to use this. So what we want to do is to possibly create a frame and then replace this eclipse with a frame. So right now I'll just use the F function here to create a frame. Something like this. Let me cut this frame and then let's paste it here. Okay, so for the frame, I will just drag the frame out. We should zoom this. So I can come to the eclipse here and then let me just copy the properties. Let's see if that would work. So I'll paste properties so we can see this. So we have the properties here. So for our frame, I will just want to come here and let's turn this. Okay, but I think let's come back here. Let's see what we have. 46 by 46. So let's come here. Let's make this 46. And then let's make this to 46. Good. All right, so we now have this here. So for this vector here, we can we can copy this and then we can paste it into the frame. So for my frame and vector here, I can copy this and then I can come to my icon here and then I can paste and replace this. All right, so what I can do is just drag this here because we can see that this is in stroke. We want to turn this to fill, so let's outline this stroke. You can zoom this in a little to see that we have some issues here, so we can fix this. So right now I can just click this, I can drag this up here. Good. So we don't have that done. We can come down here to see this. This is good. Can then flatten this. So let's flatten this. Good. So right now I can just rename this from frame. I can just call this button, right? And I can copy this and then paste them here to replace this one here, so that we'll not have to redo all of these things here for all of these buttons here. So for this, let's come back here. For this button here, I can just duplicate this and then I can just drag that here. So we want to use that here. We want to copy the properties from this into this, so we can zoom this a little. So from this one here, what we want to do here is just copy the properties, and then let's select this and then let's paste that property here. I want to turn this back to 100 And then for our vector here, we want to make this white, right? And I think that's it. So for this button now, I want to just Control X, and then let's come to this icon here and then paste to replace. All right, so we now have another button here, and I think this is good. So let's continue the optimization process. Let's see what we have. Okay, we have another logo here. Let's check this. This is literally the same thing with the other one. So we are just going to open all of this vector up. So we're going to copy all of them. So I'll right click this and then I will flatten this. All right, so we have that there. So I can just erase these groups. All right, good. So we have this optimized. Okay, so the next thing here is for us to check our social icons. Let's check this out. So you can see I have icon BG. Since I want to tag this as a social icon, I will want to take out that icon BG and replace that with a frame, just like something similar we did earlier. So coming here, let's just try to create a frame. So for icon BG here, I think I can just copy the properties, and then let me come to my frame, and then let's paste the properties here. All right, good. So we can have that here, but I think this is a little bigger than this. Let's come back here. This is 40 by 40, 30. Let's come here, 40 by 40. All right. So for this icon here, I will just copy this and then I'll paste it into this frame. So now let's paste and replace. The same thing for these two as well. Okay, let's come to a frame here. I can copy this and then let's paste to replace. And the same thing for these two as well. Okay, I think that is it for this. So for this one here, this is a mask image. What we can do right now is to change this from a mask image to a PNG. And this is very, very important for us to be able to have our export right. And also for some of the images there, we want to maybe turn them to a background or just turn them into a PNG for images that have mask group. So what we can do in this case here is to select this image. So you can see this is the group here. I can just copy this as PNG and then I will just paste and replace. So you can see now we now have this as an image, and I think that's super, super cool, right? So we can do the same thing for these two as well. So this is the mask group. So I can just copy this as PNG and then I can paste to replace. So I think that's it for these ones here. I think this is good. So let's zoom out into our image here and let's see what we have. So we can just scroll up to check out for this image. For this image here, the best thing for us to do here is to convert this to a background image. So let's come here So for the background image here, we can just duplicate this, Control D, and then let's just bring it up here. Let's take it out of there. From this one here, so we can see this. This is the background image here. I want to copy the image itself, and then I want to paste that out. Something like this. We're doing this because we want to be sure that we are bringing back the exact same image here. So for this, I think we want to adjust the height. This is 950, but this one here is 870. So let's increase this. Okay, so let's. All right, so I think we have that image there. Okay, so since we have that now, so let's delete this. Okay, so right now what we want to do is to bring this image here into this entire slider. To do that, we will need to change this from a group to a frame, and then we can come to this image, copy it, come back to our slider here, and then we'll come to fill, and then we are going to paste that here. And then we can see we have our image here. We can just take this out, and then we can come back now. So we are done with this. Now we can delete this off. So for this right now, we can come back to our slider right now here. What we want to do is to delete this image completely. From here, we now have this image now as a background, and I think this is good. So now let's good. So we have that sorted. So now let's come again to the images here. So if we come here, we can see that we have images overlaying on each other here. You can see they are also masking image. You can convert them to images. You can convert them individually to images, and then you can sort the alignment when you are inside Elementor. And also even here, for the purpose of this example, I would just want to come to the entire frame like this. So as usual, just like I told you earlier, I would export the entire. So what I would do to the entire frame right now is for me to copy as PNG, and then I would just paste and replace. So just like that, you can see that every of these has now been converted to a single image, and that just makes it a lot easier for us exporting this into Elementor. Okay, I think we are making progress. Okay, we have some alignment issues here, so let's come back here. Let's check this. For my slider, I think my slider is really going out. Okay, I can just easily just drag this down here, something like this. I want this to just fit this frame here. I think this is good. Every other of the alignment issues there, we might solve that eventually, but let's come down here. And also we need to optimize this stuff here too as well. So from checking here, you can see that we have some vectors here, and we will have some issues exporting this into Elementor. So let's come here and let's see. You can see the mask group, you can see all the vectors, you can see them. This is not good. So let's come to call to action, and let's just duplicate this, and then Control D there, and let me just drag this outside here. Okay, so we have this one here. So what I can do for this call to action, let me open this up here. We have a button. Let's just hide this button first. Also this text, let's hide this. So we have our mask group here. This is good. So for this right now, what we can do as usual is that we will just convert this to a PNG, the same thing. So let's right click this, and then let's copy this as PNG, and then I can easily just paste that here. So you can see I now have a PNG here. Okay, right now, so what we want to do is for us to convert this group to a frame. We want to do that. And then we can easily just copy this image here and then paste it here as a background. That's very, very key. So what we'll do right now is to just come to the image here. So I'm going to just copy it from here. So I'm going to come to my call to action here. I can come to my field here, and then I can paste that here. So I can take this out. So I have an image here, so I can delete my rectangle and then delete my mask group. So you can see now I now have that image as a background here. So I can easily just toggle this on. So right, we can delete this right now, and then I can copy this. So what I will just do is I can just cut it completely, Control X. So I would come back here. This is my call to action. So I can just right click this and paste to replace. All right, so I now have my call to action here. That's fantastic. I believe I've done a pretty much decent job trying to just optimize all of this in right now. But what we can do right now is to open up the UiChemy plugin. And then let's optimize and convert this. And then let's launch our optimization companion. So the first set of optimization that this plugin is recommending is that would, let me just shift this a little bit here and this a little bit here. Okay, I think this is okay. It's for us to lock multimedia images. So if we click this icon here, we'll be able to see what it wants us to lock. We can see that we've been able to group this as a vector, but what we want to do here is just to ungroup this. Let's take away this group. So I can right click this and then I would ungroup this. So you can see we now have our vector here. So now if you rescan this, you can see that is gone. So let's come back to the next one here. So for this right now, like I said earlier, we want to tag this as a button. So I don't really think we need to lock this because we will need to unlock it for us to be able to tag it. So we can just ignore this. So let's cancel this. So let's check the next one. The next one is an icon here. So what we can do is to just lock this. We can just click fix here. If we click this, you can see it will lock this and it will convert it into an image. But what we can do is to still unlock it here. And just like I showed you earlier, we can copy this as a PNG and then we can paste that back here. Paste and replace. So you can see this has now been converted to an image. So for this one as well, I will just do the same thing for all of the icons there. Just watch me as I do that. Okay, so that's good. So let's rescan this, but note that what we ignored would be brought back. So let's rescan this. Okay, so we now have this button here. So you can see we ignored it earlier, so we can still ignore this. Let's come to the next button. So the same thing for all of these buttons here. So I'm just going to ignore all of them. So the next thing here is for socials. So what we want to do basically here is for us to just ungroup them. So I think there's still a group here too as well. So let's ungroup this. All right, so we now have our frames here. So like I said earlier, we want to tag these as a social media icon, so we would not lock them up. So let's just leave that as is. So now let's come to our image. So for this too as well, we can just ungroup this. And then let's come to the next image, which is the next thing there. We can as well ungroup this. Okay, so we now have a singular image there, and I think this is fine. So this would not, let's rescan, this would not go, but this is fine. Okay, we now have a frame here. Let's check out this frame. You can see, so it's telling us to just lock this frame here and those buttons. So we're going to leave them. So let's just ignore all of them and let's go to the next thing. Optimize quantity of images. So here, basically what this just does is just show us the heat map on our page for us to see. So we'll be able to see all the images, assets that we have on our page. So you want to check to see that everything here aligns well and there is no place here that you have hidden assets somewhere that you don't know that might cause problems. And I think this is good. We can just mark this as done. So here it says we should remove unnecessary group on frames. So let's check that out. For this, you can see we have a group here, so we can just easily fix this. For our logo too as well, let's see that. So we can see that we have some group here, another group here that's not needed. So let's fix that. For our date, let's check that out. So now let's fix this too as well. Okay, that's good. For this again, let's fix this. For our title, let's see. Okay, so we can fix this too as well. All right, so the next thing here is for us to convert groups to frame. So the first thing we have here is our button. So let's check that button out. So you can see here, this is a group, but we need to convert this into a frame. So what we can easily do to that is we can hit the fix button here and we can come up here and see that this is a group. We can easily turn this to a frame, and then we can see this has changed now to a frame, and that's good. But we want to manually do this. So I can just zoom this out for me to be able to see. The next thing again is another button there. So let's check this. So for our button here, we will just ensure that we come here to group and then we turn that to frame. And then let's keep going. So we have another frame here that combines the two buttons, so we can also convert this to frame. I think that's good. Let's come to the next one here, which is our title. Okay. Fixing that, we can see that is now a frame. That's good. So let's come to our text. Okay. But basically, you want to go through all of these things to see that every of the group that you want to convert into a frame does not have a subgroup. So if there's a subgroup, you want to convert that subgroup into a frame first before converting the frame, the main frame, to the main group into a frame, so that you don't have any issues. So that's the reason why I have to go through them one after the other. So you can just watch me try to do that. I would definitely try to fast forward the process so that I don't take so much time. So you can slow the video down for you to follow up. For my menu here, I want to add them individually into a frame, and then I would add them collectively into one frame and then call it menu. I'll also do the same for my button too as well. I think it's good for them to have a frame too as well. Some element issues here. I missed this icon earlier, so I'm going to just convert this to an image and then replace it, and then I would adjust the alignment issues. So for this as well, before we group this, for us to be able to have control over all of this element, we are supposed to optimize this. So as you can see here, we just have a single line of text here. The same thing we did for the header is what we're supposed to do here, but for time purpose, I'm just going to just skip this and just optimize this as well. So the same thing for this menu too as well, but as usual, let's just continue this process. All right, so we are done with that. The next thing is for us to enable clip content. There's an image there. Let's see, what image is that? Okay, basically just clip content are content that is outflowing their frames. So in this case here, we can see that this image here is leaving the frame. This will not be good when we are converting to Elementor. So now let's see what we can do to fix this. So taking out the negative from that, we can see that this is good now. So what we can do is for us to rescan this. Let's see if that will still be there. All right, so that has been fixed. So the next thing is for us to manage auto layout for standard frames. So now we need to set most of our frames now to auto layout so that once we're exporting them into Elementor, Elementor would convert them into a container. And that's very, very important in this process. So right now, I think I will just want to come to this frame here and then let's see the entire page. Okay, so for this right now, if we zoom into our button, so we need to convert that to auto layout. Also for this button here, also for our title here. So we have quite a number of things here to convert to auto layout. What we're going to do is that we're just going to fix all. Let's convert all of them. All right, so everything is fine. So the next thing we want to do right now is to manage auto layout for complex frames. This is where it gets a little bit more tricky because there are some frames there that there are a lot of options we have, like setting margin or padding or setting the direction, whether I want to align it vertical or horizontal. There are a lot of options, so UiChemy is not able to automatically convert them into auto layout, so we need to fix those things manually. So right now, let's come to our button here. But what we can do here is to use the Figma tool. We can come to more layout option and we can say suggest auto layout. So you can see Figma will suggest the best auto layout settings for this. So that has been converted to auto layout. So that's exactly what I'm going to do for every of the elements here. So let me come here to my text. I'll come to my text here, I'll right click this, I'll come to more option. I'm going to have you suggest what to do. So if we come down here, so we can see now that this is auto layout. This has been aligned horizontally, and then we have this aligned to the center, and I think this is beautiful. Once we are done with this, we can just click this fix manually, and then let's come to our slider. We're going to do the same thing, more option, suggest auto layout. Okay, that's super simple and easy, right? So I'm going to do this for the entire list. It's pretty much long, so I will fast forward this process so you can watch me get this done. Okay, so here we have some alignment issues here. So you can see for this one here, we have an over rectangle here that is responsible for this. This would not go into Elementor. So that will mean that I will copy the properties from this over. Then I have to find this frame here and then add that there and take out this over and then sort out the alignment issues. And I think you can just watch me while I try to sort this out. So I think I will just want to add a new frame. So I just want to check the height, 40, 40, 48, 65. Okay. So let's come down here. Let's set the fill to white. That's it. And then let's set the width. Okay, so right now let's come to this over here and let's delete this. This thing is not even anymore, so we're going to copy the same properties here into the other frames here. To properly manage this frame, I'll just add 2 other frames. So 3 of them above, 3 of them beneath, and from there I can manage the gap. Eventually, I will make sure that I set them to fill. For the last set of frames here, this is not working. I will make sure I suggest auto layout for this and then set the auto layout of the main frame so that I can align vertically, and then I can set individual frames to fill container. All right, so this has been sorted now. So the next thing we want to do is for us to take out these rectangles so that we can add strokes, because this would not fly. So you can see that, and then this again here, and then something this. So I will just delete this. So for this frame here, I will just add a stroke. To the bottom. I think we should add some padding to this frame to give us a little bit of space. Good. So now we have a perfect stroke, serving more like a border. So now let's go for the vertical in between and let's see what we can do. Awesome. So we have a perfect vertical and horizontal stroke here. Stroke are same as border in Elementor. So these will be converted as border for those frames, which will now be converted to container inside of Elementor. And I think this is good. So now let's continue. So coming back to UiChemy right now, I think let's just even rescan this. Let's see what we are. So we are text, manage complex frames. So let's come here. Let's suggest auto layout, and let me just complete this whole process right now. Okay, let's rescan social icons. Okay, so for this one here, need to apply auto layout to that. So for our footer right now, we can see the entire footer. So if we scroll down here, let's see this. So we can see that this has a rectangle, and this rectangle is what is responsible for this background color, and that's not too good. We have to make sure that we take that out. So we have to copy the values there, and then we have to come to the entire footer, and then we have to use our fill, and then I have to paste that here. Right, this is just basically what we have to do here, and then I would have to take out my rectangle completely here. Okay, so here we can apply some margin, we can apply some spacing here for us to be able to drag this up and down, but I wouldn't want to do that right now. We can even do that inside of Elementor, but again, I think we just continue, we'll see exactly how to solve that problem. So coming to my footer right now, I can just suggest auto layout. All right, so that's good. So let's rescan this. Let's see if we have anything left there. So that's gone. Split multi-text. Let's check for that. Figma allows for you to split your text into multicolors, but that doesn't work inside of Elementor. So we want to make sure that we fix this. We just want to have one singular colors there, but there's a way to work around that, but maybe in my subsequent tutorials I'm going to show that eventually. So right now, Mainframe, so we are supposed to remove properties on Mainframe. Okay, so let's check out for this. The thing is that every properties that we have on the Mainframe will be ignored completely when we are migrating into Elementor. So it's better that we had those properties inside of our content. So right now, let's just fix this issue. So we can see that all of the optimization here is gone, but one thing we can still do for that is for us to set our colors for our properties manually. So right now for our header here, about page, services, and also for frame, our footer here has changed to frame. It means that something is not right inside of that. So we need to really figure out what is not right. Okay, so we can see for our copyright here, we can see we have line here. This line won't work. We can just convert that into, I think I need to see that. We can just delete this, and for this right now we can just set a stroke. So for this container here, we can come to stroke, and then we add the stroke to the top. The color, I want to change that to white. So you can see that we now have a stroke right now there. So we might need to set some padding for that. Maybe 20 here will be fine. In your case, you might just need to find what works for you, basically. Okay, so that's it for copyright here. I think that's it. I might just want to rename this back to footer. All right, I think this is almost there. Okay, for our footer right now, we want to switch this from fixed to fill. For our services, so let's make that fill to as well. This is set to org. Let's fill that, but that's taking the entire screen. Maybe I'll just leave this as org. And for the other two as well, let's make this fill. All right. And for the header, we can set some padding in case we want to give some space. For the about page, maybe 40 there. I think that's good. For services too as well, let's do about 40 there. But in your case, you might need to check out the spacing that the original design is having so that you replicate that. So that's literally up to you. But you just get the idea. Once we take out the properties from the Mainframe, one thing we have to do is to make sure that we set background for every of the elements we have. So if you come to our services now, for example, here, so if you come here, you see that we don't have any color here. So, but if you switch this to white, then white stays. But we can switch this to any color that we prefer. We can just find any random color. Maybe something like this, but again, you have to use the same colors that you've been using before. So you can see that right now I now have a color here, so that now separates this from this one here that is supposed to be white. So you can do the same thing for every of the instances you have on the page. So that's literally all that is to it. So you get the idea. You can go ahead and replicate the same for this. Let's save and go back. So right now, let's launch our widget tags. Just before we just convert this to Elementor to see, because this is very, very important for us to be able to have a very good conversion. So first things first. So for these ones here, we want to tag them as a button. So this is button 1. So this button here, let's just come here, let's tag this as button, and this is very simple. So you can see the text here, and we can see that we have an icon here, which is the vector, and I think that should be for the link. We don't have any link here, so I'll just leave this. The position should be before, and that's it. So we're going to hit the save changes, and that has been tagged. So let's come to the second button here. Let's tag that to as a button, and you can see the text has been prefilled. There's no icon for this for link. Let's just leave this as empty. There's no icon there, so there's no need for position. So let's save this. So we still have some other buttons here, so let's tag this one too as well as a button. We don't have an icon, so let's leave this as is. Then the next button there, that should have an icon, so let's tag this as a button. So there's a vector here. Let's leave this, and then the position should be before. So that's it. So now let's save this. All right, so coming here too as well, we have another button. So let's tag that too as a button. There's no link, so we're gonna just leave this. Let's save that. So that's how to tag things inside of Elementor. This will just help you convert that into a button. Super simple and easy, right? So you can just keep, for example, something like this as well. We can tag this. This should be a heading, for example. So we can easily tag this as heading. So we can select either 1 or 2, or we can just make this one H2 and then save changes. So that's pretty much how this works. So for this right now, this is a text. We can tag this as a text editor. So now let's save that. So that's it for this. Now we can tag this once here as an icon list. That should work for an icon list. So this right now, let's tag this as an icon list. So we can see the icon here, so we can save this. And also for this too as well, the same thing. And oh, sorry, this should be an icon box, not an icon list. So let's clear this. Then icon box. So we have an icon here as a vector. This is a title. And then description, there's no description, so we can just leave this. We can delete this, and then we save this. And also the same thing for this too as well, an icon box. So we delete the description, and then we save this. So we can come to our frame 14 too as well and save this as an icon box. So you can see here we don't have a description, so we're going to save this. And also for these two, the same thing, icon box. Let's save this. So that's pretty much how to tag stuff here. This definitely we want to make this heading. Header 2 will be fine for this. This as well should be a text, but we'll just leave that as is. But you get the idea. This right now too is a button here, so let's tag that as a button. There's no icon there, so the link, let's just do hash. Okay, we have some icon here that we want to tag to as a button. So that's a button here. So let's call that button. There's no text whatsoever, so we have an icon, but we are unable to select an icon right now. Don't know why that is. Maybe we should just leave this. Let's leave this. Let's just come back. There's no need to tag that since we don't have that. So let's come to social icons here. So let's tag this as a social icon. I think I have that here. Okay, social icon. It has been added, but we can change the name from frame 1 to maybe Facebook or whatever it is. So that's fine. So you can add more here. That's good. So let's save that. That has been tagged, and I think that's pretty much everything we want to do here in terms of tagging. So the other things here, we can leave them, but you understand the experimentation. Ideally, I should go through all of the frames again to check them to see that they are well aligned before I export. But again, it's not bad for you to do this twice or three times. It's all fine. Sometimes for some design, you might need to export to Elementor like 2 or 3, 4 times before you are able to find a perfect clone. So that's it. So let's just save this here. We are done with the tag. So let's come back. I can still come back again. So we can still do some other things here like global styles, conversion settings, responsiveness, but let's just leave this as is. Let's try to convert this page. Right now we can use the live import. So let's come to live import, and I already have a website here. In your case, if you are using it for the very first time, you might need to add your website. So if I click this here, you see I have the option here to add my website. So I can add a live website and then install the UiChemy plugin on that. I already have a step-by-step guide on doing that. In case you are using UiChemy for the very first time, I would leave a link to that tutorial, to the timestamp exactly when I did a tutorial around this in the video description for you to see exactly how to get that done. That's super important for you to do. So I would just assume that you have this already. We're going to select this site, and then we're going to come to home page. We're going to come to new, and we're going to export this to a page, and then we are going to come to next. This is everything we want to do. We want to import this to our WordPress website. So that's it. This has been imported instantly. So now let's click this link for us to see exactly what we have. All right. We can see that we have some alignment issues here with our menu. Again, we forgot to add, I didn't remember to do that. We're supposed to add a background to this. If we don't have the background to this, this would pick up the default colors from your Elementor and then add that as a background. So that's why we are seeing something green here. Okay. We have some alignment issues here too as well with the buttons. Also for this page, okay, this is good. All right, we have these ones here. Again, we didn't tag this as buttons, so we can click on them. And then the menu. So you can see we have our social icons here, even though it's not aligning properly, but we can mess around with this. So these are, so this is a not too bad clone, but again, we can go back to Figma for us to go and perfect this design, work more on menu here to see the reason why it's not aligning. But again, we can still do our corrections inside of Elementor. I think again I should spend some time inside of Elementor here instead of spending all the time inside of Figma. But this is good. Let's just try to edit this with Elementor and let's see what we can do. Okay, inside of Elementor here, we can just see what we can do with this. So let's come to our header. From our header, let's open this up. Let's first come to our navigation bar. Okay, I think one of the things we can first do here is to make this 100%. Let's just zoom this out. Let's see what we have. We just need to just drag these things here out. Before we even start dragging them out, I think there's a lot of spacing that we, okay, so you can see we have gaps here. So you can see the gaps here, 208. So little wonder we have this kind of, so you can see this is pretty much like it. So we can drag these buttons out. So you can just space out the buttons. So for this one here, for the color, we can change back the color from green. You can see the green is about the global colors here on Elementor, but since we didn't set a color, we can easily just add that color here. So we can change this back to white in case that's exactly what we want. So unfortunately for our menu here, we can see that we did not take time to align them correctly. For our logo too as well. So this is just Elementor. You get the idea. The idea is just spacing everything out. And if you take your time to space everything out, you should have something very, very good. So you can see what we have here right now. I can still space this out, but ideally I do not recommend that you bring in your headers like this. Basically, Elementor don't work this way. You need to have Elementor Pro for you to be able to separate your header from your footer. That's how WordPress is set up. So I also have a tutorial I've done around that using Elementor Pro. You can also check the video description for you to see a timestamp to that. So you can see how pretty much easy it is for you to drag things out here. So for this, is the same thing everywhere. Just drag all these things out. So you can see this text here has a break here. That's crazy. But we might just want to reduce the size. I really don't want to mess with that. So you can see, so you can just drag all of these things out to point out we are comfortable. So for our button here, the same thing here, we might just want to play with the width. Drag this out till we have exactly what we want. So you can see 100%, that's exactly how that should be. The same thing for these two as well. We might just want to drag that out so you can see. Let's come here. You can see we can still play with the width here to have exactly what we want. Basically, you can adjust that. We can then come here to this. Maybe we should just come directly to the image. For the image here, let's come to style. The width 100%. Okay, that's good. So we can increase the size or reduce it, and I think this is good. Oh, this is good. Yeah, this is good. This is exactly what we have. Again, for our icon box here, we might just need to come to style. So we need to align this to the center, vertical alignment to the middle. Icon spacing, I think that's fine. You can see, then drag that out to, so for these two as well, we might just want to drag that there and then to the center. So instead of spacing this out, we might just want to maybe play with the typography. So if you come to content, we can just come to the typography. We can reduce the size so that it just fits into the container. That's pretty easy to do, right? So we can do the same thing. We can even come here, copy this, and then paste style. So you can see we can come here, paste style too as well. So this is aligning. For these, we might need to maybe drag this a little, just like that. So you can see this now, everything is aligning correctly. For our buttons here too, the same thing. We can just easily just drag them out to give them exactly what we want. And I think this is super cool. So you can also add some spacing in between this in case this is too wide. We can also maybe return this back to what it used to be, reduce it a little if you must. That's literally up to you. But the idea is just drag these things out. So the same thing for our services as well. So for these, we might also want to drag this out. So for these, I might just want to increase the spacing for this. This one seems to be good. For this footer here, we might just want to play with a frame here. We need to set a negative margin for this for us to be able to align this correctly. All right, so that's more like it. So you can see how super simple and easy it is to do this. So for our call to action, you can see the padding we have here. So we can still have some negative margin here, maybe like minus 100. I think 100 is perfect for this. So for, let's close this up. For our services, we might need to put some spacing, some padding below here for us to be able to, so bottom here, let's do, all right, for us to be able to have space. That's still not enough. We might want to just do 120 or maybe 150. 50. 50. Okay, maybe this is good. So right now you can check out the responsiveness. That's another thing you want to do for you to readjust this to be responsive across all devices. And I think this is super good. So you can see this is beautiful. So you can adjust it here and there till you have exactly what you want to have. So right now I will still want to reduce the size here, drag this to fit for this to sit well in mobile. So you can see something like this. Icon spacing, I think that's not too bad. I might just want to come to my typography and then reduce this size for me to be able to. So you can see that's pretty much like it. And then I can just do the same thing for every of the icon that is there, for every of the icon box here, and then I have a perfect clone. And that's pretty super simple and easy to do. That's it, guys. That's exactly how to bring in your Envato element into Figma and then convert it into Elementor using UiChemy. I believe this is a useful tutorial, even though it's a lot boring and long, but I think I want to believe that you've got value for your time. So do well to check out my playlist on UiChemy and also for Figma tutorials for you to see further guides that would help you on your journey converting your Figma designs into Elementor. And that's my time for this tutorial. I would see you in another one. If you find this video useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know if you have any issues in the comment section. I'll be looking out for them, and I'll see you in another tutorial. And until then, bye for now.